South Africa's efforts towards the introduction of high-speed trains in the country are coming under sharp focus on day 3 of the 41st Southern African Transport Conference taking place in Pretoria. We are seeing that, of course, as one of the topics of interest here in terms of those that have gathered on day 3, really exploring ideas and avenues in terms of how South Africa can get it right. Currently, hearing that South Africa is working with China in terms of research, in terms of ensuring that at least we get a move here where this is concerned. This is, of course, often what we hear being mentioned by President Cyril Ramaphosa in his State of the Nation address, where he's talking about South Africa just moving with the times where technology is concerned and introducing this train, this high-speed train that will move from one city, one province to the next without a hustle, in terms of also ensuring that there's economic activity that is not hampered, and the speed in terms of ensuring that we get things on the move within the transport sector. I'm going to bring into the conversation now Mr. Gerard de Beer. He's one of the speakers here looking at the high-speed trains. This is something that you are working on with other experts, China and the likes, just working towards getting it right. Maybe let us in on how far are we right now as South Africa where this process is concerned, because we often hear it being spoken about by the President.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak about it. I think in terms of the conference, we have started last year to talk about high-speed trains and maglev trains. We always hear it in the news, but my question is, do we have the tools to do the designs to do that and roll out projects like that out? I think from the conference point of view, we said, let's start a platform in South Africa and say, let's talk about high-speed trains. Let's talk about maglev. Is it possible for South Africa or other high-speed trains? And see if we can get the youth participate in and pull them along with this type of projects. Currently, we have a lack in skills. I don't even sure that we can build a high-speed line in South Africa anymore, especially with specialized infrastructure and bridges and things like that. And that's why we have established there's a need to do that. So if you look at maglev in the future, they currently already talk about 1,000 kilometers an hour in a controlled environment, and it's maglev and vacuum tunnels what we're talking about. But I don't see South Africa will be there. I think in South Africa there should be a high-speed line at least, but you need people to do that. You know, Gauteng, we talk about 12 million currently, long-term up to 20 million people. But do you link then Gauteng with a Durban or a Cape Town? And how should that structures look like? So we've already I did a presentation yesterday, and there's actually a very big interest in the youth, graduates, to start to participate in this. I also had discussions with the university and see how can we bring it into the curriculums there. So we need platforms where we can do some research and help the people to gain that experience in South Africa. I think in the short term there might be opportunity, but in terms of maglev, it's much longer term. And maybe if you start to talk about a north-south corridors, then that's a different story. But let's first get the basics right in South Africa and the skills, what we require to start talking about that.
I mean, Mr. de Beer, often we hear of it spoken about as if it's something that is really in the pipeline. It's going to happen next year or in a couple of years to come. But from what you just mentioned now, we still have a long way to go in getting it right. Infrastructure, research, and the likes, and the monies that will need to be put in these projects to ensure that we get it right in the country. Are we seeing that agility? Are we seeing really that move coming from the Department of, Transport and other departments alike that are working to ensure that at least this process is expedited, as it's often mentioned in the State of the Nation address, then it becomes a reality on the ground?
I think you're quite right in terms of that. I think the Department of Transport have put policies in place that we can start talking about high-speed lines and what is the criteria in terms of that. I think we must differentiate what is talk from politicians and what is the reality on the ground. And there's definitely room that we can start doing that. But I think let's get the first steps in place. And that will enable us naturally to do that.